What is it about this hot chocolate that makes it so special?
No cup is truly enjoyed unless it's served in the presence of...
Are we on the air? I'm your host, Sean Wilsey, and for over 30 years I hosted shows on cable shopping networks, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. And now I want to be your guide into this world, taking a look at how it works, what's working and what isn't, and introduce you to some of the very famous people who helped put this industry in the place that it is today.
Live via satellite, this is QVC, America's quality cable shopping channel. Stay tuned for an outstanding selection of products that you can use every day to enhance the quality of your life. QVC presents What's New to Make Your Life Easier.
For customer satisfaction, just check out the QVC 3-point guarantee. Number one, QVC makes no substitutions. What you order is what you get. Number two, your order will be shipped promptly. Normal delivery is just 5 to 10 days. And if you're not completely satisfied with any QVC purchase, you can return it within 30 days for a complete refund, including the shipping and handling charge. We're QVC, America's quality cable shopping channel.
Wow, what simpler times they were. 1987, QVC was still getting its feet wet, frankly. It was still the new kid on the block on the heels of the success of HSN and CVN, Cable Value Network. QVC was really the third to enter the race. Now they're, I don't want to say last man standing, but listen, this show is not supposed to be about QVC and what's going on there. But every once in a while, they just hand me something on a silver platter. It's like, here you go, Wilsey. Take it. Take it. Your plans you had for the show you were going to do, forget them. Not happening. And this is one of those times, and I learned yesterday morning that this was probably going to happen when I'm sitting there at my day job and I get a text alert. And by the way, I hope to end on a high note here because the show I was going to do was all about what is working and what is successful in the world of television shopping in the year 2022. But we're taking this very sharp right turn because yesterday morning I got a text alert that QVC stock had hit an all-time low. Now, if that sounds familiar, yes, I had a similar thing a couple months ago when it hit an all-time low. Well, it's now lower than that all-time low. And it's one of those moments where if you're an investor, and again, full disclosure, I am. I do own, not a ton of QVC stock, but enough that it's worth a fraction of the what I spent for it. But anyway, that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to moan about it, although I probably will. But it got me wondering, well, what happened? And so it took me a while before I could get myself in a position before I could really start doing some digging and figure out why would the stock hit an all-time low? What? Because they had just released their quarterly numbers a few weeks ago, and I'm still not 100% certain. I spent my Friday evening. This is what it's like if you're married to Sean Wilsey. This is the excitement you have on a Friday night. I sat up in bed with my iPad reading SEC filings to see if I could find anything out of the ordinary about a sale of QVC stock. I was researching whether the stock had been shorted a lot lately, and it had. In November, there was a lot of QVC short selling. Now, I'm going to take a step back already because I can already hear some people probably saying, what the hell is he talking about? And one of my goals has always been not to make this just about the investment world. But the fact of the matter is, how do you put this delicately? There is no way to put this delicately. I was on a message board for one of the networks a few days ago, and a bunch of customers were complaining that management doesn't listen to the customer. And I remember thinking, and this was a few days before the events of December 16th happened with QVC stock. I remember thinking to myself, I hate to say it, but no, management doesn't listen to the customer. And I don't mean that to sound crass, but here's why I say that. Every place I've worked, every shopping network I've worked at, publicly traded companies like, and I guess to be fair, I should use the corporate name Qurate. Qurate is the corporate name of the company that owns QVC and HSN both, for those that don't know. Every network I've ever worked at, if there was a group of customers, good customers that were going to be coming to visit, they'd sweep up they tidy up a little bit. They do some surface cleaning. If there's a hole in the wall, they'd put a motivational poster over it. But I could always tell when investors were going to be shown around. And I don't mean the little investors. I mean the big-time investors. Because that's when, and I'm not exaggerating, floors get mopped, carpets get professionally shampooed, layers of paint go on the wall. If there's a hole in the wall, the best contractor in town is brought in to fix that hole in the wall. It's when every light bulb is replaced. That's for the investors. That's who matters in the corporate world. And I hate to say it, but that's the nature of... I've always looked at corporations like a living being, and they need to be fed. They need to be nurtured. And what feeds a corporation is investors. It's not the customers. It's the investors, because they're the ones that bring the seven figures that are the big money. So when I see that QVC stock has fallen without any real reason, a couple things you start to look at. And the first one was the trading volume. And it was off the charts. On the Friday in question, I'm talking about December 16th, 32 million shares of QVC stock were traded. It usually trades around 6 million, so that's an unusual volume. And it wasn't people buying, it was people selling. And then I looked a little bit further. Early in the morning, markets open at 9:30 Eastern, about 9:45, there was a huge trade. And this is why I was looking for any disclosures. What's going on? It looks like someone, and by someone I mean probably, I'm guessing, some sort of institutional investor sold a huge chunk of QVC stock. I'm guessing probably in the 20 million shares range. And that kind of limits who it could be. There's a few investors that own that much QVC stock that they could sell 20 million shares at a go. And again, this is speculation on my part. I was not able to find anything officially announcing anything like this. Just to give you an idea, and again, these are publicly disclosed things. There are groups like Victory Capital Management. They own 163,000 shares of Qurate. Again, Qurate, the parent of QVC. Advisor Group Holdings, they own 33,000 shares. Teacher Retirement System of Texas, they own... they lifted their security by 4.2%. They own 80,000 shares. 80,000 shares. These are the kind of numbers. Swiss National Bank owns 918,000 shares. So these are, when I talk about the investors, the people that they care about. So some entity, and I have a couple hunches who it might be, and I'm not going to speculate because I might be wrong. Someone sold about, I'm guessing, 20 million shares of the stock. Why would they do that? I think it's an indicator of confidence level. So you've got to start digging deeper. Why would an investor have such low confidence in a company? And I know that this show is focused on the viewers. We're viewers. We're fans of QVC. So how does this affect me? Well, in the end, it may not. And let me give you an example. I was also a shareholder in JCPenney stock up until a few years ago when they went bankrupt. That stock wound up literally worthless. It became a tax write-off for me. JCPenney still exists. They have new ownership. They're trying to right the ship. And so even if worst case scenario, QVC were to somehow, or Qurate were to somehow wind up in bankruptcy, they would probably still continue on. They would have new ownership. And frankly, right now, there's 300 million shares of Qurate stock outstanding. It wouldn't surprise me if someone just came in with a big offer, like Elon Musk just did with Twitter so famously, basically bought the whole thing through stock. Someone could do that with Qurate today. They could write a check. It's at $1.50 a share. It wouldn't cost them as much as Twitter did. And they would own Qurate. They'd own QVC. They'd own Zully. They'd own HSN. They'd own it all. So is that going to happen? Yeah, probably not. But that's where we are with QVC stock. Now, in my research that I was doing last night, I stumbled upon some information I was not even aware of with regard to Qurate and how tough things actually are right there. And it was kind of eye-opening what is going on, because we've talked before about the fire, the warehouse fire. Well, I didn't realize how many trailers they were having to rent and how much money that was costing them to rent these trailers to store merchandise. And in hindsight, it makes sense. I should have thought about that. That's one of those things. Well, what are they doing with the merchandise that wasn't damaged, they have to store it. They were renting trailers, so that was costing them money. Where does this money come from? Qurate used to have a good amount of cash on hand. Prior to 2021, they averaged $1 billion in free cash flow per year over the last decade, with a minimum of $675 million of free cash in 2011. So they've had cash on hand. What they started doing was paying dividends. And again, as an investor in Qurate, I love the dividends. Dividends are paid every year. You have a successful quarter. That's free money coming my way from the cash that they have on hand. And now a lot of people are saying, in hindsight, they probably should have reinvested this, probably should have put this back. A cash-rich company like this starts to take on debt. And now Qurate is in a position where a lot of this debt is starting to come due. Over the next few years, they have debt they have to pay down. Where's the cash coming from? Remember on the last show, I said that, no, it wasn't on the last show, it was on Twitter. I posted about a week ago on Twitter that QVC was doing 5 TSVs. Well, it turns out someone pointed out to me, no, they, in that weekend, did about 30 TSVs. And I made the comment on Twitter, this is a company that is, how'd I put it, desperate for cash. They're worried about the top line. They're not even caring about margins now. They're caring about the top line. And now that I realize how bad their debt situation might be, that just verifies it. They need the cash. Are you bored yet? Are you still listening? Anybody still there? Okay, we'll go back to 1987 if we have to. This is all going to make sense in the end, but I'm leading up to something, trust me, and I'm doing my best to not turn this into a corporate lecture. So they had all this cash flow coming in, and then in 2021, the revenue, the net income, the free cash flow, it began to slow, and inventory began to build. This is the irony. Because of the fire and all the damage, and they were complaining in their past quarters about, well, we can't get inventory, supply chain. Now this inventory started to build. So they had the fire. They still had all this inventory that they're sitting on. This is one of the reasons they started to lose customers, because it got repetitive. Do you know how many people I've heard from, and it's been great hearing from listeners who have said they're bored with it, tired, it's the same product, it's the same thing over and over again. They do Christmas 9 months out of the year. Mucklucks again, oh my goodness, we can't take it anymore. And you're on to something. So that excess inventory has started to translate into the repeat customers, the good customers disappearing. QVC, Qurate, are very reliant on their best customers, the repeat customers. And it's turning out they're vanishing. They're not coming back. In September 2022, the existing customer group dropped by about 10%, if I'm reading the numbers right, from September 2021. So that's a big drop. New customers, same thing. In fact, a worse drop. I think that was like 30%. And the reactivated customers is also about a 10% drop. So people are bored. They're not tuning in anymore. And they're saying, well, this is it. Do they come back? And that's the issue QVC has right now. How do they get these people back? Well, you make a movie. That's how you get them back. You make them. This movie, I'm laughing on the outside. I am furious on the inside. Again, I'm not now speaking as Sean Wilsey podcast host. I'm speaking as Sean Wilsey investor. It's since this thing hit, this movie, for those that don't know, Holly and the Hot Chocolate, it has really gotten under my skin that they spend money when they're bleeding cash like this. They have all this debt that is coming due. You made a movie to sell cocoa. Think about that. You made a movie to sell cocoa. Excuse me, if you had just even hinted. Yeah, you said it, Orson. What? You made a movie to sell cocoa. Here's the thing. I have no problem with someone doing. In fact, Food Network, Cooking Channel, one of those, did a Christmas movie. They released it on Discovery Plus. Okay, that makes sense. You're going to get possibly some new viewers. Plus Discovery Plus owns them. So QVC Plus app is not sitting on every device in this country just waiting for people to log in and look for a Christmas movie. I went on Twitter a few minutes ago and looked up how many times Holly and the Hot Chocolate hashtag has been used on Twitter. Since the movie came out, it's been used 32 times. So I went on Twitter and I had to look up what last night's, Saturday night's, or a week ago Saturday nights, I forget, Hallmark Channel movie was, and it was something called Holiday Heritage. I counted back 32 tweets with that hashtag. That took me back 13 hours. So I would be here for the rest of the day counting the number of tweets that have had that hashtag. And by the way, to be fair, it's all movie related. It's not like someone's posting about Holiday Heritage relating to something else. It's all related to the movie. So QVC's Holly and the Hot Chocolate, 32 tweets ever. And Hallmark Channel movie from last Saturday, 13 hours worth, gets you to 32 tweets with that hashtag. That's not a good number for QVC, for their movie to sell cocoa. Here's the scary part of all of this, before I put a bow on this and we move on to something happier maybe. I was, again, reading an article that was going into all this detail about Qurate and what's going on. And for the first time, I heard this sentence, and I think it's true. Qurate Retail is on life support. I think that's a good way to put it. That's not exaggerating. That is a good way to put it. The author of this article really hit the nail on the head with that. They're on life support right now. They need a lifeline thrown their way, whether it's in the investment community. Now, they just changed their leadership last year, and Marv Siegel, son of the network's founder, told his story about interacting with that individual, and that wasn't the most promising situation. So I don't know. People always want to know my opinion. What is the answer? What is the answer? I wish I had a good answer for that. And again, one other, and I want to point out what I'm about to read is strictly anonymous, and so it could be true. It may not be. I don't know. But someone replied to this article that I just quoted, who is allegedly, I'll say it that way, allegedly a former supplier to QVC, saying very good analysis. I gave up supplying QVC. They were too behind the times and hard to deal with. Who still pays suppliers by check? This is one thing that leads me to believe this is a real, for reasons I'm not going to go into. They ask for crazy payment terms, even on dropship. They claim to be e-commerce versus TV shopping, but their online sales are minimal if the item is not on TV, and TV watchers are a dying breed. So if you wanted my opinion on it, yeah, that is a legitimate former supplier to QVC or Qurate. But to be fair, I have to say that it's anonymous. They didn't put a name or anything here, so we don't know that for sure. But it is very interesting times, and none of us want to see the death of the industry or of QVC or of HSN for that matter. My solution is they need to keep getting cash. And how do they do that? Well, they keep selling property. Now, they did in 2021. They sold off some of their real estate in Pennsylvania, but I think they need to downsize even further. Studio Park was a great idea in 1997 when they were at their heyday. I could do QVC from my garage. And I swear to you, I mean that seriously. I could do QVC from my garage right now. All I would do is put up a big video wall. Ever watch the Today Show? On one side of the Today Show studio, they have the area where the anchors are, and they have the window. Opposite that is a massive video wall. You probably never even realize, the average viewer, that all that is a big LED screen that they change the picture of. They do their evening news from that same set. Most people would never know that. You can make that your kitchen set. You can make that your living room. You can make that you can do all of this from one giant video wall. That's all you need. You could take QVC, HSN, and even Q2 and do them out of 3 garages. In fact, really 2 garages, because there's no reason why, if you do the audio right, the audio would carry over from one to another. So you have a set of cameras facing one way, set of cameras facing the other way. There you go. Now, is that an extreme example? Yeah, but it's the things they need to start looking at. NBC bailed out of, the legendary studios, where Carson was forever, and they did all their hit shows from, and in Burbank, good thing of the city there. NBC sold that off. They're out of there. It's something else now. In fact, is it Discovery that owns it? I can't remember, but someone else owns it now. They're out of there because they realized they don't need all of this facility anymore. And so that was one of the smartest things they did. Legendary studios, but we can't just live on the ghosts of the legends that once lingered in there. I've been in Carson's studio, and it's amazing, but you don't need it anymore. In fact, along that point, just to illustrate what I was just talking about with doing QVC and HSN from one garage, the studio where they used to do the late night show later from was the same studio where they did, what was it called, Access Hollywood from. All they did was swing the cameras around. So you have the cameras pointing this way, it's later. You have the cameras pointing that way, it's Access Hollywood. So there's a lot of ways QVC can still sell things off. And I hate to say it, but I go back to it, you don't need the Florida campus and the Pennsylvania campus. If you really want to cut corners, and they need to now, one of those has to go. Move everything up to Pennsylvania, I think would be the logical thing. Although I'm a big fan of the Florida campus, and I would think that the people living in Pennsylvania wouldn't mind some Florida winters for a while. So I think that would probably be the way to go. And just move it all into one facility, and that is it. And so you can sell off the real estate. Anyway, we are going to continue and end this show on a much happier note. So in order to get there, I need a segue, don't I? I need something that's going to put us in a happier mood. Well, I'm going to play what could now be the new most annoying Christmas commercial ever. It's running here in South and Central Texas, and it's for the grocery store chain called HEB, which we love here. If you live anywhere, Austin to San Antonio and all points south and east, it is the only place you even think of shopping. If someone says to me they went to Randall's, I roll my eyes. Why? Nobody goes to Randall's. Everybody goes to HEB. Point is, they're a great company, and they do they're great to their employees during the pandemic. My gosh, they were throwing money at their employees. They give back. After the Uvalde shooting happened, the family that owns it, because this is not a public company, it's still family owned, they wrote a check for $10 million so the city could help get money towards a new school. And they know Texas, and they market correctly to all the different areas, because you market to Houston differently than you market to, Austin and San Antonio. But anyway, so they have a Christmas commercial running right now. This could make the Hy-Vee commercials look good. And you can't escape this thing. It's on Hulu, it's on all the streaming, it's on regular TV. So to segue into our happier comments, let's just all take a listen. The video is non-existent, basically. It is 4 rows of high school students in black, dressed in black, with Santa hats on, that are about to sing a Christmas carol. And I know it's supposed to put you in the holiday spirit, but it looks like any high school stage with bleachers set up and 4 rows of kids who are about to sing. Brace yourself. Oh, sounds nice.
Shopping around our HEB, let the Christmas spirit ring. We will take home some pecan pie and we'll do some caroling. You will get a sentimental craving when you see partner sampling warm tamales. We fill up on oh so many. Shopping around our HEB, sipping on some cafe au lait. Everyone snacking merrily in the festive Texas way.
Kids, you did a good job. Definitely nothing against the kids. They were actual choirs from San Antonio, Austin, Houston, and Corpus schools. But HEB, you talk about cutting corners. They cut every corner they could. It was literally it was like a high school stage, some bleachers, the kids singing. That's it. There was nothing else visually going on. Wow. Okay, but on to happier things, because I did want to close out this year on a high note, because there are good things happening in the TV shopping industry, and I just want to highlight a few of those, because it's not just about QVC and HSN and what's going on there. There are actually a few things happening that I think need special recognition at several of the networks, and the first is Shop HQ. I can be very hard on them for... it's all Invicta, all Invicta. Well, it isn't. And they frankly do something so well that I wish they spread it to everything else that they do. And those are the Mackenzie Childs shows. If you've never watched these shows, this is how you do TV shopping. Now, mind you, again, it could be done with a video wall background in a garage, but that's another story. Because they have the most beautiful sets. The graphics change. It's just visually the kind of thing that if you were channel surfing, you would want to stop and watch. And I've caught myself doing that when they're on. It's just visually so overpowering. And I mean that in a good way, that you know something special is going on. If it's an Invicta show or anything else that they do, there's nothing special about any of it. Invicta has changed their branding so many times. And don't even get me started on the bikini models. We have a whole bit I'm doing on that someday. That it just there is no consistent marketing. There's no consistent branding with that anymore. With Mackenzie Childs, it's beautiful. Kathy, who they bring on as the guest, nails it every time. They always have a good prepared host for it. If they could put what they put into Mackenzie Childs into everything they do, that network would be a real contender. It's amazing, and I hope the sales reflect that. I don't know anything about their sales on Mackenzie Childs. I hope it's Mackenzie Childs is what I've been calling it, but it really is brilliant. And so for doing such an amazing job with that product, you get special recognition from me. That's how you do it. And whoever they have involved behind the scenes on that, I very seriously applaud you for what you're doing. That is fantastic. So that's one just special recognition. I should have had an award that I give out, some sort of special, stupid little award. Anyway, I just had a really bad idea across my head, so thank goodness it just stayed there. And also to JTV for just continuing to do so well what they do. With JTV, it's education, it's selling, and oh my gosh, they are still, to a large degree, old school selling. It's just, they'll still do the price game. You know what a price game is? I use that term sometimes and I don't explain it. It's where they start with one price and then they go down to another price, and then, oh wait, we're still not done, and then they go down to another price. It's very old school. I could probably find an example of it here if I had another moment or two to dig one up. I know I have some video of old price games being done, but I think you get the idea. But it's still educational. I was watching the other night, and they had a garnet on, Halo Garnet or whatever it's called. And I was really intrigued just listening to the information that they were giving out, because I've always said an educated customer is going to make a right decision. By right decision, I mean it's a sale that sticks. It's not a high return sale. You educate people. You give them honest, accurate stories about the product, and they're going to make a good decision. You can still beat them over the head to a point and do a hard sell, but it's the mix of that. And Sean Diddy, who they hired, which again, I can't enough, just smart move, because the woman is a great personality on television and salesperson, but again, she's so down to earth and real that you want to watch her. Anyway, and so they had her as kind of the yin yang to the guy that she was on, and he was doing more in-depth information. It's like, boy, that's brilliant. See, that's what you need to be doing. Educate and inform, and then you can still hard sell at the same time. And they've been doing it very successfully for a lot of years now. So I do applaud them for what they've been doing. So they get another special mention. Speaking of special mentions, I forgot as I'm recording this that speaking of jewelry shows, TJC TV with Carolyn and Tammy is live right now. Let's take a listen in. We did this once before.
So give me a call on that. Oh, this is call for prices. This is call for prices. Some very high-end pieces.
They have a turntable with lots of jewelry on it.
I didn't even know we changed the turntable.
Didn't even know we changed turntable.
23, that big emerald. Oh my gosh, that thing is.
Sometimes I don't know if they're talking to me or talking to each other.
We've got Burma
Or to the
ruby,
people in the call center.
We've got gorgeous opal.
Let me see if I can find it. Let me back it up a little.
$799 on those. I love those. Those are.
They're pretty quiet today. Sometimes it gets so noisy. It's just you have one of the two hosts talking to someone in the call center because the people answering the phones are right there next to them. And then you also have the one talking to someone else, a producer or someone. So it gets crazy.
Look at the color of that tanzanite. That's genuine tanzanite.
Almost had it there.
We're not talking
That is
imitation.
a deal.
We're talking the real. Okay,
All the people in the
13 is going to
background.
be item number 630, 775. Okay, 630.
And by the way, the reason I want to acknowledge them is, again, they do this 6 hours a day, once a week, and they're fine with that. They do very well doing what they do. So you don't need Studio Park to run a successful business. These are examples. TJC, this one I just played here, where they're successful doing what they do. And I have to admire the fact they know what they do, and they do it well. It's kind of cliche if you're from Minneapolis, the famous lawyer on TV. It's all I do, and I do it well. But it's true. That's what they do. Jewelry Channel has never tried to be anything other than jewelry. They've never said, well, let's do jewelry, and then let's do an hour of wicker baskets. No, they do jewelry. They do jewelry well, and they have a very loyal fan base because of it. And by the way, because they're not corporate, they do a better job listening to the customer. And again, I could go into stories, but they've been told to me very privately, so I'm not gonna do that. But they do a very good job listening to the customer. And speaking of that, someone else that gets special recognition, and I don't talk about them enough, is Gem Shopping Network. They're based out of Atlanta, and they may not even be on your TV at home. If you still have cable, they may not be on your TV. They're kind of a lesser known one. They're smaller, again, privately owned, don't have the shareholders to answer to, and they do very well with what they do. In fact, I wonder, let me just try and see if I can find, let me get there, because they're similar to this Carolyn and Tammy or whatever it was that I just played, where they do a lot of things just off of a turntable. And they have a turntable that spins, and there'll be a ring or something on it that catches the eye of someone, and someone calls in and says, can you show that? And they show it. You rarely see a host, actually. Here's the audio.
Never been done. I have sold 4 of these in the past for over $50,000.
Here, who's online for the Sapphire?
This was $6,900. Sky was $69 right now, $39.95. $39.95.
And by the way, he does mean $3,900, not $39.
$39.95, and then we gotta just zap those in and maybe show them all on the display. Here, pull it out like this, and then show them everything like this. We can just scan.
This yellow diamond painted sold.
Nat, flip everything so we can scan.
Here's the butterfly. Take
Now
a
they're
look.
back showing the turntable. I mean, is it good TV? Yeah, you know what? Maybe not, but they sell, and they do very well. I like my poem. And that, at the end of the day, is what matters. You know, are you able to pay your employees? Do you have enough left over for a profit? And maybe you share that with the employees. So, again, I have to give them a commendation. And it's these little networks. It's these small networks that do things very, very well. And you have to appreciate the fact that, you know, I don't want to say they're fighting the big guys, but they continue to do things on their own, not necessarily even following the rule book, as you heard a couple examples there, but they do it very well. One other thing to end this on that I want to bring up, and I had to cue up the audio here. You've heard me over the past year and a half use this little bit of audio.
Yes, I know, Travis. That's why we give such bargains.
At the end of every show, and I always mention it was from this place called 2B's Quick Sales out of Maryland. Very sad to announce that they just had their last show on December 14th. They made a post that it's too expensive to do. They could never find the right product mix. And I hate to see these little guys, again, just not able to make it. And I want to bring up this topic in the new year because there's a lot of, unfortunately, people who have been relying on Facebook to make their money that haven't been able to make a go of it. And some of it has to do with the algorithms and the way that Facebook is changing. Here's their...
Folks, it's been a long haul. Terry, need you to come up here. Need to get on camera. I know how much I hate getting on camera. Yeah, she hates getting on camera. This is Terry, by the way. She's over there in the dark. Folks, without these two and the number of employees that I've had in the past, we couldn't make it work. I watch a lot of other online auctions, and by far, I think we've run a quality thing, but it's up to these people. Jen will tell you freely that a lot of sales, I walk in here at 10 minutes of, set the computer, and I start, and she's been here all day dealing with the customers and getting stuff set up. It takes an awful lot to put on these sales, folks. And labor, rent, electricity, it takes an awful lot to make it all happen. And they've been holding it down, and if you look at them right now, they're still smiling. Some jobs, people hate coming in to work. I know there's days where Jen hates coming in because she has to deal with me. But all's not lost. Jen's going to be going up to the retail store at Dirt Cheap, and we're going to be figuring out how that's going to go. But it's been a hell of a ride, and it comes time to, you really got to look at everything and decide what we're going to do. So I'm going to say farewell. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun. Some days have been better than others. You guys are trying to figure out what I'm doing here, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
So, I could say here, and I could.
I just had to play that because it's so classy the way he handled everything. Again, a small little operation out of Maryland, and I hate to see people like that fail. And they still have a retail operation, so I shouldn't say fail. It's just they had to put an end to the online auctions because that is what makes this country great, are the small business owners. And they tried their damnedest to make a go of it, and it does just break my heart that it didn't work for them. But as he said, it works for others. There are other online auctions that do the same kind of video thing where people bid, and it works very, very well for them. So you have to look at it and think, okay, there's still others out there, and I hope you'll check them out, and I hope you'll find them and support the small businesses. The QVCs, like I said, it's so corporate, it's so complicated that even if they were to declare bankruptcy, which with the upcoming debt that payments are due on, it's possible. They'll probably still exist. JCPenney was bankrupt. They're still around. They have a new owner. So it's even if that were to happen, they're still going to be there. Because, again, it's a beast, and the beast will get fed. Corporations are living beings. They will get fed. This is a small business, not a corporation. Not a living being does not need to be fed, or I should say it the other way. If they don't get fed, then things like this happen, and it does. It just breaks my heart that has happened to them. So one more time.
Yes, I know, Travis. That's why we give such bargains.
Just love her. Just love that. I may keep that. That may live on. I don't know. It's still in my sound pad. So, anyway, so I hope we ended, I know, on kind of a sad note, but a less maybe angry note than I was heading to at the start of this. In the meantime, I hope you will check me out on Twitter, Sean Wilsey, Instagram, S. Wilsey. There's a Facebook page for the show. Search Are We On The Air, and you can find the Facebook page. What am I missing? Oh, my YouTube channel, Sean Wilsey. Find me on YouTube. A lot of the videos that I make reference to, I post on the YouTube channel, so you can find them there. So for the last time, for the year 2022, until something else happens, this has been a King Bobby production.
Yes, I know, Travis. That's why we give such bargains.